Well, good afternoon, folks. This is a quick video to show the routing of the cables, the extension cables, when relocating the rectifier to under the oil cooler. I do send instructions out with the kits, but I thought I would put just this video on, and also to show some very handsome male models wearing their James Slick t-shirts, which I'm sending out with orders. So we've got our two orange crushers mentioned in the previous video. So you can relocate your rectifier regulator by merely propping up the back of your fuel tank like that. It's so easy to remove your tank that I would recommend removing it, but it can be done without, and I use that antiquated mallet thing there to hoik the back end of the tank up. But you know, don't be frightened of removing the fuel tank. It is so easy to do. And so this video is just to show, you know, how to route the cables to relocate to either under the steering yoke, or more popular is under the oil cooler. So there's my bike with the tank lifted up. You can see I've disconnected the breather pipes from the rear end of the tank, and also the fuel pump connector, but on that one I hadn't actually disconnected the fuel supply. Now that's what I did on my bike, and as I say, it is so simple to take your fuel tank off, and I've done a video showing exactly how to take your tank off, and it can be done in 10 minutes. Just make sure you haven't got a tank full of fuel, that's all, because they're quite heavy when they're full. So there's my bike with the cables routed up the frame member from the swinging arm on the left, and then under the cradle, the top of the frame there, you can see the cable ties holding them on. So that's the sort of finished product, and I'll show exactly how to do that. So this next picture shows the evap cartridge removed, and also the rectifier removed from the metal backing plate. You can see there's the bolt there at the top of the screen. There's two of those that hold that metal mounting plate, and the two holes at the bottom, that's where the rectifier attaches to that. You can see the damage and attrition and muck that's got in there. That's the actual mounting plate at the back of the rectifier. So this is why they get so hot and they get covered in gunge like that. So that's what it looks like when you've removed your evap and your rectifier and put your plate back. Can you see the bolt there above that cable clamp? You've got two of those, and you just undo them, and then you lift the metal plate with the rectifier on it, and it all just drops below the bottom of the bike, and then you remove the rectifier from the metal plate. I recommend putting the plate back on because it's handy for attaching cables to keep them out of the way of the drive sprocket and the chain. So you basically drop that mounting plate, remove the rectifier and put it back in place. And then that's the swinging arm. You can see the plastic boss there. So that's the 3-core cable looped around the front of the swinging arm there. So that's the way to route that, and you feed it through from the bottom of the bike, and you can see on this next photo here. Let's have a look. Yeah, so that's the 3-pin cable. You can see it there, the big fat one, and then you've got the 4-pin there. Look, that's the end of the extension cable. So again, I've pushed it up between the engine and the swinging arm from under the bike. So having removed that rectifier mounting plate, take the rectifier off the plate, put the mounting plate back on, and then feed the extension cables up from the bottom of the bike through that gap, and they do go easily. And that's the 4-pin there, and the 3-pin is already pulled through. And then what I do then is to cable tie both cables into position at the bottom. So you can see there, that's the 3-pin, the big fat one on the left there. That's the 3-pin cable just pulled through, and then what you then do is just put a cable tie as low down on that diagonal frame member. You put it as low as you can and just hold them in place there so they are retained. There's no risk of any damage to the cables from the swinging arm at all. And what you end up with, there it is, look, there's the cable tie on. And you can see the 3-pin, and just behind it is the 4-pin cable. So that's looped from under the bike, fed through the gap, pulled up as far as it will go, leaving enough slack at the evap shelf end just to be able to attach the ends of the extension cables with cable ties and keep them out of the way of the chain. And then you route that cables, both of them, up the bike. There's the top frame member, and you can see the 2 cables are retained. Now, with the kits, I put 10 cable ties in, which is, you know, more than you need. I think you're probably going to need about 4, but I put them in there so you can sort of cable tie it down the entire length of the frame tubes. And obviously on that picture there, the right-hand side of it is the front of the bike. So the next step really is to remove the horn. It's a 13mm spanner, and just, you don't even need to disconnect the electrical terminals to it. You just undo that and just move it out the way downwards, and it just gives just a bit of extra room to connect up the top end of the extension cables to the wires from the rectifier itself. And that's on the right-hand side of the bike. It's do it from the right. So just, you know, 13mm spanner, take it off. And the cables, you can see there, you've got your oil cooler on the right, and you can see the red slide block there. That is actually from the rectifier. So the rectifier is mounted at the front of the bike, and I'll put a picture of it on in a minute. So you mount the rectifier at the front of the bike under the oil cooler using existing holes that mount the oil cooler on. And the kit comes with longer stainless steel hex bolts and nuts and things. So that is the red slide there is from the rectifier itself. And if you look there, that is the oil cooler on the right, and then that is with both the 3-pin and the 4-pin extension cables now plugged into the wires that come off the rectifier. So that's when it's all plugged in, and they sit behind the oil cooler, and there's the 3-pin connected. Now I've done a video expressly on how to connect and disconnect that red slide block. It's not immediately obvious, so I've done a video, if you check my videos, of how to actually undo that and put it back together again. If you go proggling with a screwdriver at random, you'd probably break it, so I did a video all about it, and it's not difficult once you know how it's done. So there's both of the connectors there. You can see the big red slide block, 3-pin from the alternator, and then just behind it that red locking tab on the 4-pin, tucked in nicely there. They don't go anywhere near the exhaust pipe. On Mel's bike, subject of a previous video, he's got the Tech, not Sidewinder, it's a Stinger exhaust, and it doesn't go anywhere near it. So then, having done that, connected up your rectifier, you can put your horn back, and it's just a question then of putting cable ties on where you think is appropriate. I mean, you can cable tie your extension cables to the bracket of the horn if you want. This is how to put the brackets onto the rectifier. So you've got your legs, if you want to call them that, stainless hex flange bolts and nuts, and you basically put the 2 brackets on, and the 2 top holes will go into existing holes under the oil cooler like this. So you can see that there. You're not drilling anything, you don't have to tap anything. It's a nut and bolt that holds it, and it's using the holes that already exist. So I'll show some examples at the end of this video of people, well, here we come now actually, that people have done it. So there you have it, look. You've got your flange nuts at the top, bolts at the top. You've got flange bolts and nuts holding the rectifier onto the brackets. And that's a finished job, that one. And same with that one there. So your wires are pointing upwards, going behind the oil cooler, and as I've said previously in this video, you route your cables from, you start at the bottom of the bike, under the bike, and then feed them through and up the frame. Here's another one that's been done. So they're rock solid. and obviously they're at the front of the bike, they're getting airflow on them. Your heat from your engine's going backwards anyway, unless you're stationary, but there it is, there's another one. So that has proved to be a very popular location actually for the rectifier regulator. It can be mounted underneath the lower steering yoke, and I've done a separate video about that, which is on my list. There's Mel with his bike, featured the other day, wearing his t-shirt. And here, spot yourself. If you see yourself here, put a comment. There we go. Now, who can that be? If it's you, put a comment on. They're going down quite well, these shirts. Here's another happy wearer on my fashion parade. They're actually a good quality shirt as well. I did originally. I got white ones, but I'm not doing that anymore because I think black looks a lot better. If you know this person, then well, you can't actually see him. Well, if you know anybody in these videos, put a comment. So there's a bike meet. There's one of the white shirts. Who can that be? And who can this be? That's another bike meet. So this is a young male model. There he is. He hasn't actually got a bike, but I said, here, have a t-shirt. So that's basically how you do it. It's not difficult. It takes about an hour. Look at this pig. Is that you? Oh, he's got my channel in the background, look. Oh, nice. So I've still got a few shirts left, and they'll be going out with orders. So I hope that helps people when they come to do the mounting of the rectifier underneath the oil cooler. You route the cables exactly the same way, exactly the same for mounting under the lower steering yoke. Same thing. You just don't obviously have your rectifier under the oil cooler. You just have it under your steering yoke, and the kit's come with both sets of brackets and fasteners. So there you have it. I hope that's of help to anybody. My email address is in the description, and if you've got any questions or whatever, then feel free to email me. In the meantime, take care on this lovely day. I'll be out on my bike shortly, and I will post again soon. And thank you to all the people who've sent me pics with their resplendent with their t-shirts. Take care. Bye for now.